So I wanted to take this opportunity to make it very clear that the leadership of OPP, under the legitimate of the national agenda and the umbrella, are united and solid and want those peace spoilers in names to stay away from the OPP affairs and stop mingling into other political parties' affairs. So we really wanted to tell them in a very clear manner. If they are within the IG and they are friends to the IG, we have seen them, then let them stay there and stop intermediating in other people party affairs. Of course, we are with the national umbrella and the national alliance. National agenda is basically the party that is not in the agreement. What is in the agreement are other political parties in the know, and there is nothing in the name called national agenda in that particular. And Martin Elia is not a principal in this agreement. His name does not show up anywhere. We in OPP will perceive him to be one of the peace spoiler in so many other parties' affairs, in OPP affairs, previously in SOA, and today it's intermingling so much in SPLM-IO affairs. And therefore, his appointment of late as a Secretary General to the committee, it is rejected totally by the OPP. Because Martin Elia Limro has been a secretary to the NPTC all these past years, and he has failed completely to implement nothing, and he has failed completely to account to any financial allocation that was allocated to the National Peace Transition Committee. And he has continued to instigate conflict, hatred among tribes and communities, which is not in line with the spirit of this agreement. And you could see how far he has manipulated this country, how far he has interpreted this agreement into his own. He went on actually appointment of the 31 members, appointing 7 members, and he called them their national agenda. They are representing national agenda. What Martin Elia has did, he has blindfolded the SPLM-IO in name of sympathy of his relationship with the president. So what he does, basically whatever is there, it belongs to the SPLM-IG. And it is up to the leader of SPLM-IG, which is President Salva Kiir, to determine what he should give to any group within his own. And if he has come out to have his own home as a principal, from when is he getting those ratios? He's getting them from the SPLM. And then the SPLM goes on, what they have from Martin, they go come and loot what belongs to the SPLM-IO. They come and take what belongs to the OPP. So they are being looted by Martin Elia Dobro, and they are also coming to loot what belongs to other people. This is completely unacceptable. I'm saying it in a South Sudanese perspective, not a professional perspective. And these are evidence are there. He has to go and be like General Taban Deng guy, who is also has the RG. But he has never come out and called himself as a principal to the agreement. In fact, he has the right because his name is mentioned there. Is there mentioned SPLM-IO under Taban. So his name, Taban, is mentioned there. Whereas Dr. Martin, his name is not mentioned there, the national agenda is not mentioned there. He continued to cause problems and hindering the implementation, and also creating problems between the first vice president and the president. For sure, we do believe in OPP that the president is honest and wants to implement this peace process. And therefore, we also believe all those us who have signed, we are accountable. We are the ones to be answerable. If the transition ends with no elections, the country loses legitimacy to answer and say, what happened before South Sudanese? And even God will not accept if we say we were not able to do it because of Martin, because his name, it is not in the book. This has to be made very clear. So he has to cease. He has to know that the OPP has come back to its feet, and we will use this agreement to counter any arguments that any individuals may raise. And let me move back to the issue of the Juba Initiative. Juba Initiative of the parties. We are calling for this initiative because it's important that the parties need to come to the table and dialogue. In any way, even in normal family lives, but they are not let to go forever. So we do respect the grievances that each and every party that they have, and we are calling each and every party that they have grievances, including us. We will table our grievances and therefore will dialogue into what needed to be done. And the goodness with this dialogue will be giving us the opportunity as parties to clearly do what can we implement today and what do we need to implement tomorrow. When I say tomorrow is what we need to implement now to pave the way towards elections, and what we need to implement tomorrow, that what we'll implement after or by the government that comes into power. So this is very important, and we call on international community that we call on the African Union, and we call on international community to support this initiative and to help the parties to come into the table to address the fundamental issues and what is important needed in order to pave way to return back to full implementation of the agreements within the remaining month and end towards the end of the transition. So I think most of the issues are clearly stated here at this press statement, which is released, the document that will be available. Also, there will be also a document that will be available, the Juba Initiative of the parties. And at least now we have clarified some of the things. And feel free to ask me any question. And we will be very, very much ready. Either question related to the agreement, questions related to OPP. And we have also said very clearly that we have rejected the involvement of Martin Villeda Maro as secretary for the new committee. We call for the committee to be restructured genuinely, and let the party's leaders are the one to nominate their leaders. And we call on peace spoilers to stop, and if they don't stop, we'll still deal with them. We'll put them to shame before South Sudanese. We'll put them to shame before South Sudanese. Now South Sudanese have known that there is no principle in the agreement. Now South Sudanese, we have to know that there is no party in the agreement called agenda, and we will continue to expose more as far, including I was a member of the National Pre-Transition Committee. I was there, I know what had happened, and I'm out now, and I will speak more to the South Sudanese. So I welcome the press for questions.
Yeah, my voice can be clear. My name is Shwal Shandyong. I'm working for the Hagiga newspaper. You talk about the importance of dialogues and Juba Initiative. So how do you see Juba Initiative can work out while there's SSPDF is still carrying out war in some part of the country? Second to that, you talk about peace spoilers, or some people that pointed at Martin Ria. So you mean Martin Elia is the one who spoiled peace that lead the process until lead to the arrest of the Vice President and the other members of the Australian Mayo? That's my question.
Yes, I think with this, we have called for cease of hostility by all parties, that they have to cease, and we have actually called for all parties, all signatures. Of course, even when we actually not just cease of hostility, the December 2017 cessation of hostility is still applicable. which was the foundation of the security arrangements. When it comes to the peace spoilers, Martin Lear is one of them as an example, and we have given enough evidence, and we can still give enough evidence. As far as his arrest, the arrest of the first vice president, we cannot point a finger to Martin Lear, but what we are pointing a finger to, and what they are working very hard so that there's an issue of leadership within the SPLM-IO. And actually, that issue, we are not pointing in this particularly, but based on his last press statements and his interpretation of what he perceived to be in his interpretation of the agreement, saying that the agreement can move on even if one of the parties not there mentioning so in this party. That is completely not in line of the spirit of the agreement. And also his statements in terms of what he perceived to be certain areas hostile to the government, other areas are friendly to the government, that is completely irresponsible. So Martin Lear, we have not said he's the one involved or he has something to do with the arrest of the first vice president, and nobody has something to do with that, and only through the dialogue. The dialogue will tell out why the first vice president was arrested, and the dialogue will also give the opportunity for anyone to defend himself. But what we are saying, let him follow the agreement, and he should cease causing hostilities and supporting political coups among parties. He is actually the engineer of political coups among parties. Yeah.
Yes, thanks a lot. My name is Philip Asa. I'm a freelance journalist. I have like 3 questions I want to ask to you. One, you did talk of what we call cantonment areas. You talked of the security issues. Having seen that the agreement has not been going well, for recently SSBDF is calling for recruitment of 4,000 soldiers, and yet we have their soldiers in opposition and other groups they are included, supposed to be in the government. We talked of the securities. Having seen, looking into that, how do you think that we are trying to implement the agreements, but agreements are not like it is ways. People there's some divisions in parties that you did mention, and a lot of things that are not been going well. How do you look into that? Second to it is, do you think that the agreement will be fine when Machar is still a man inside the confinement? Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Arotike. I work for King Media. Given the recent development in South Sudan's political landscape, what OPP advocating to ensure sustained peace and stability across the country? Second, you have just tossed the idea of having a Juba-based peace initiative for all parties to the RXS. Do you think the SPLM-IG will embrace the idea? And if not, what will be the way forward? Thank you.
I think I love your last question. Let me begin with whether the SPLM-IG will embrace the idea, and if not, what's the way forward? Yes, all other issues related to cantonment, related to divisions, all these issues can be addressed at a simple forum, which is the Juba Initiative, which is based. It's not to renegotiate the agreement on various issues. Now, the very important and weak place to the foundation and the way forward, if the SPLM-IG will it accept, will he embrace to have a dialogue, will he embrace to have initiative, and if not, what's the way forward? The same answer I wanted to ask the SPLM-IG today. What and why will you reject a dialogue at all, if you have a case? If the SPLM-IG have a case which they believe is genuine, then they need to accept a dialogue. Because that dialogue is when your case will be magnified, given to you by a third party, recognized person whom you have a case against. If now, I've mentioned earlier, if the SPLM-IG are the ones complaining they have an issue, and they want to address the issue by their own way, then where is the goodwill? Secondly, which is the last, how come would the SPLM-IG refuse not to have a dialogue with people when he still believes and have accepted that the agreement is still alive? And if the agreement is alive, with whom have you agreed with? It is the very persons whom either you perceive as an enemy, whether the person you perceive as wronged you, is the very persons that you have issues with, is you have an agreement with. So I think it's an opportunity in the other way for the IG case to be heard. If not, then they are the wrong side. Because you cannot reject a dialogue, you cannot reject to come to a case when you believe you have a right. And then why this dialogue is important? The dialogue is important because when South Sudanese just barely sit down and watch and see the country getting into trouble, in few months you will be faced with questions of elections. And no one wanted to go into premature elections. And if election doesn't happen, then the country loses its legitimacy. Do you know how much it will cost us for us to regain that legitimacy back? So it's now time that as we have come back, we have come back to fight those spoilers and to call a spade and face the reality. The reality, the dialogue needs to begin now as soon as possible. And whoever speak it out and let the Jetwal and the South Sudanese get. Secondly, would it not be really a useless investment for the last 5 years that we have invested time, money, energy, resources, patience? People have lost their life, and then just arriving at the end of the tunnel because they are spoilers that do not have ground, they can never win elections, and they just wanted to benefit from the status quo. No. And that's why I've come back to politics. To call a spade, to tell the South Sudanese the reality, and at least deliver the future. The SPLM-IG need to sit down with all of us, and we want to hear the cases, hear from us. And both of us will have to agree, how do we deliver this country forward? All what is being done today is what has been tried before. If it is a coup within the IOD has been done before. If it is a coup within the OPP has done before. If it was so, it just ended recently, you know. So, and for how long? Is that the only political lessons we have learned from the political science perspective? Divides and rule. So, another question.
Okay, good evening. I'm Anthony Joseph and the Norwich newspaper. No doubt the dialogue is the only way forward. I can see the party signatories to RARCSS. And we know that other political parties combined from many parties and groups, we have a regular, we have alliance. How many parties still now sign this declaration? And can you mention their name? The second question, have you made any meetings with the other parties before these declarations? Thank you.
I think, yes, it is endorsed, and I think our article, we are following the agreement